Hello there everyone, sorry, do excuse me, millennial playing on his phone and not looking at anything else, seriously. Hello, how are we? And I hope you are having a good time with your cars and are staying safe and are as healthy as you possibly can be at this time of the year. There might be a few changes that you might have noticed or might have heard. I now have actually got a Rode Wireless. Fantastic. These are great things, and I've just been phasing in some new camera work and new wireless mic into the channel just slowly over a short period of time. You may have seen this in other episodes because things are a bit mixed up continuity wise, but pretty much you are in the present day or very close to. So I will say that. And it's important that I am filming this only a few days before the present day, because it's actually a concurrent theme on this channel, where this channel has come from and what it's actually led to. And it's a unique thing which, you know, other people have found that starting YouTubing has actually led to a different career path. Some people have actually given up their day job and become a full-time YouTuber. Some people have actually found a job as a result of their YouTubing, but still do YouTubing, but have now found a job because someone has seen a skill that they possess or something that they would like to utilize in their business and offer a position. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. Me, I've started a car club in itself, a car group. I say a club, I should say that because it is. The Ford Focus Mark 1 Preservation Group, as I've called it since the very start, was a group that was born out of enthusiasm. And that was enthusiasm that I didn't really felt that existed at all when I started doing my first blog, sitting in my Focus Mark 1 outside this very window. I don't know what I said. Only about 200 odd people watched it. I'm actually curious now to go and see what the heck I said. But it would have been very relevant to Focus Mark 1s. It would have been a blog. I was only going to do a video probably once a month. And then suddenly I've ended up becoming a full-time YouTuber with all the camera and equipment to go with it. I mean, how the heck did that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happened. Enthusiasm, likes, comments, and I'm thinking, that was a good video and people like it. I'll make another one. And then it's just spiraled, it's snowballed. And it snowballed so much on the Focus Mark 1 side of things, which is what I hoped. You know, the reason that I've got so many subscribers and views and I have somewhat of an income from YouTube is because the Focus Mark 1 videos, I put a video out and people watch it. It's like gold dust. And I'm still scratching my head as to how I'm actually doing that, because ultimately I'm not doing anything particularly special, and I'm very honest about that. You know, I just show enthusiasm. Maybe that's just what you want to see, and there aren't as many people that can show enthusiasm and are very good in front of the camera and are willing to put themselves in front of the camera, because there are some amazing people in the Focus Mark 1 community who are very shy of the camera, who don't want to be anywhere near a camera, but they are very happy to be very quietly working and restoring their Focus Mark 1s and want absolutely no credit whatsoever. And they should be given some credit, because there's some unbelievable work that's been done and it should be showcased. And that's what this channel is all about, showcasing people's hard work and their enthusiasm and love for one of the greatest cars of all time, and I think the greatest Ford that has ever been produced. And I have very little to actually argue against that. If anybody does want to argue against that, please give your comments, and I'll see. We'll see how we can have a constructive debate about that, because I've got all the arguments to be had for the car. But I'm very open to listening to what people have to say. But this video isn't about Rovers or Ford Fiestas. The Rover 45 is a staple in my diet, and it has to remain so, because ultimately I do consider myself a Rover person. And I make that very, very clear in my videos, and I have said this time or dropped hints several times that I'm actually not a Ford person. I just happen to be someone who ended up buying a Focus Mark 1 as his first car, loved it so much, started loving the brand because of the car, and therefore I've looked elsewhere at the brand, and therefore I've got a Mark 3 Fiesta on the driveway, which I love, Ruby, absolutely love that car, and I've got many adventures to be had with Ruby in the future. So that's really me. Well, I don't consider myself a Ford person. I just consider myself I've had an interest in certain Fords that are just pure brilliant. I wouldn't say the Mark III is pure brilliance, but I would say out of all the Fiestas, I think it's the one that was the most radical in terms of actually the development between the Mark II and the Mark III. Two different cars, just completely different cars. I think the Mark VI to the Mark VII, completely different cars. So that makes the Mark III and the Mark VII probably the greatest Fiestas of all time. Probably the Mark VII, to be honest, because of how long and how popular it's been and how reliable they are, as long as you don't go for the eco boom. In terms of what I've bought and how I feel as a car enthusiast, I'm a Rover person. I am a Rover person who actually runs a Ford group. How amazing is that? That's how much I actually have in terms of my enthusiasm for the Rover brand. I think they've made some astonishingly good cars down the years, very underrated, and many of them will survive. But it just depends on how Rover 45s do as well, because Rover 45s are a bit of an understated car, and sadly people don't see that. But I'm very glad to be flying the flag on both sides, and I hope that I've made Ford people realise actually the Rover products weren't that bad, particularly 45s, and that the Rover people can also appreciate some of the Ford products like the Focus equally on both sides. But naturally, unfortunately, there are people on both sides of the field who very much don't like what's on the other side, and that's everyone's opinion. That is your opinion. But I stand on both sides of the fence, and as a predominant Rover enthusiast, owning the P6 was just a massive kick up the backside in terms of wow, this company was just, what they were doing was amazing. The engineering was on a scale I've never seen, and supposedly, quite accidentally, I've just bought the first two cars I ever owned, P6 Ford Focus Mark 1, two brilliant engineering cars. And I don't know how that happened, but I just went for the engineers' cars, the cars that were designed by the engineers, the designers, and not the accountants. And there was no or little interference in both of those cars. So that's really me in a nutshell, and why I think it's even more of an amazing thing that the Focus Mark 1 group has been born out of an enthusiasm from people coming up to me, contacting me, putting comments, and thinking, people are asking me for this all the time, and people keep asking, are you going to start your own group? Because I think, you're the focal point of the community, and I think I like to be known as the face of the community. I mean, I'm just one enthusiast. I'm merely just influence. I've got to say, I really don't go in for this sort of YouTube, TikTok influencer. But I think I have influenced people for a good thing. So the Focus Mark 1 scene, I can't remember quite the moment where I thought, I'm going to start my own group. There was about a small group of us that started talking, many of which are my friends now. And we knocked our heads together and said, do you think this is a good idea? And we all thought, well, why don't we try? Because, what we've got to lose? So I actually started promoting the group on this YouTube channel. I opened a new Facebook group account and, posted myself as the admin, and people who've basically become my friends are also moderators to help me run the group as best as possible, and to moderate things, make sure that we are following what we set out as a vision, which is preserving, driving, enjoying, and that summarises for me Mark 1 ownership from not just my aspect but a lot of enthusiasts who've got one and who want to keep theirs relatively standard, because that's the clue in the title. Preservation group, Focus Mark 1 preservation group. We were very clear about that from the very start, and this is where I want to be extremely clear to those people who may want to think about coming into the group. I'm not necessarily that bothered about the person, although we really want people who are nice people who, quite frankly, get on with others and only want to help other people. The most amazing thing that I've seen, not necessarily in the full community, sadly, but in the rover community, is the spirit of helping people, and not necessarily for personal gain or for anything other than good spirit and goodwill. And I don't see enough of that in the full community. I just don't. And I do want that aspect of the rover community to be within my Focus Mark 1 community, and it's going to take a long time, but it has happened. The group has grown extensively since it was started. We've had more and more members join up, and we've got that lovely feel-good, friendly, family-friendly factor to the group. We have no issues. We have had issues, and people have been removed. I do not stand for anything that can compromise the group whatsoever in terms of upsetting people, or just, quite frankly, putting the group's name in a bad sort of bad order as such. I think it's really important. But the biggest problem I've had is modified Mark 1s. Now, you know my opinion on modified Mark 1s. I don't like modified cars in general, to be honest, and it seems to be a cultural thing in the Ford circles that you must modify your car. I got sucked into that culture, and I messed with my Mark 1 and then came back out and said, I can't stand what I've done to this car. I literally, what have I done? I've wasted so much money. And then I ended up reversing practically every single modification. I think there's only 2 that I've left on the car, very subtle modifications. And that, for me, sums up what the group is about. Original examples or subtly modified ones, because I just don't think people are going to stand at a car show and look at a modified Mark 1 or a pretty heavily modified Mark 1, which is what I'm referring to, and get nostalgic about it, because what is there to be nostalgic about? Because the car's been changed significantly since it came out the factory. And I just think the enthusiasm and nostalgia for classic cars is when they're not messed with. And I think that is going to be the most strongest characteristic of any Ford Focus group going forwards. There might be other groups that might spout up. I doubt it. Because this is the main one, thanks to this channel and the work that I've put in. And, well, I hope there is. I hope somebody else has a good idea, because the preservation group is precisely keep it standard, don't mess with it. If you are going to mess with it, just keep it minimal, keep it subtle. A few modifications here and there, maybe some different backlights, different wheels, different side repeaters, but not all in one go. Let's not do too much here, because otherwise your car is going to start looking like a bit of a Frankenstein of a car in my eyes, but not everybody sees it that way. And that's what I've had to do to make things absolutely crystal clear, and that is the direction that the club is going in. There has been some resistance to the group and its ethos and what I think the ethos should be. And that is a few people have made comments saying that I am dividing the Focus Mark 1 community by dividing standard original examples and modified cars. Well, I've got news for you. That's already happened. That's been happening for many years, and I think for quite a few years, people with a modified Mark 1 have basically been in the majority, and people with a standard Mark 1 have been kind of isolated and segregated a little bit. And I've tried to kind of reaffirm that this group is a lovely place for owners who don't want to mess with their Focuses and keep it absolutely stock or very close to stock, and appreciate them for what they are and what they were designed to be, because I don't believe that a modified Mark 1 was in the engineer's books at all when they designed the car. I think some of these modifications can somewhat be dangerous. Most of them are not. Most of them are really good visual stuff, etc., etc. I could talk all day about this. I think also that there seems to be the resistance that I've felt a little bit from a few people is basically because this is shutting the door on people. And I must make it very clear that when you're in a club, it's exclusive. Now, there has to be a specification. There has to be a door, there must be a line, okay? So this is what we're looking at. This is why I think you will be very welcome in our club. And this is why I don't think you would be suited to the club at all. And I think you have to have that line a little bit. Otherwise, you just become an all-inclusive group with no identity. And if I just said, come on in everyone, well, what is this group about? It would just be another Focus Mark 1 group on Facebook. So that, for me, was very clear that we had to draw a line at what we want. Preserved examples, preserved original and near original examples. And we knew it was going to be small. There was no illusions to say that we were going to have an extremely small group of people. And that's absolutely fine, because it probably won't have more than a few thousand members. I might be wrong. But if it becomes that, I'll be very, very pleased, because it'll be a few thousand members that absolutely love their cars and want to join in, go to meets, socialise. And quite frankly, that's what it's all about, isn't it? So there has to be a little bit of a line there and here to get somewhere. Otherwise, there's no point in doing what I'm doing. So I think I have to make that very clear. So really, there are going to be some bumps along the way, but the Focus Mark 1 Preservation Group is growing immensely since the first day it was started. It was always, I think, going to be a popular venture, and it's going to continue into the sky at the moment with the way that the membership is going, and the engagement and enjoyment that people are getting out of the group. And yet this is all before the first meet that is coming very, very soon. And people are going to really enjoy that meet. And it's going to be the biggest amount of Focus Mark 1s that have been assembled in any one place. And it will beat the 7 of the Festival of the Unexceptional. I believe there's going to be about 30 Ford Focuses in one place. And I can't wait. Unless you're a member of the club, I can't reveal the location because it is very private to the group. But otherwise, if you are a member of the group, I can't wait to see you. And it's going to be an amazing day to socialise, meet new friends, and just enjoy our lovely cars. And I think that is all we've waited for a very long time. And on that note, I'm going to leave this very Ford Focus Mark 1 Preservation Group style-ish update style video. Nothing to do with YouTubing, nothing to do with Ruby or Beatrix or my thoughts of the week, purely as a focal point for my group, and some of the reasoning behind what I'm doing and why I've chosen to go down that route. I think it's the best way in the long term to make it very clear about the vision of the group, because that way people will have an idea whether it's suitable for them or not. You take care, guys. See you very soon.